What happens when two of the most talked about guards in basketball, players who have reshaped the conversation around women's hoops, start commanding attention at the same time? Not in a manufactured rivalry, not in a headline designed to divide fans, but in a way that naturally pulls the spotlight toward pure talent, performance, and impact. That's exactly what we're seeing unfold with Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark. And recently, whether it's been through game performances, media buzz, or ongoing discussions across the basketball world, it genuinely feels like they're both stealing the show without needing to take anything away from each other. To understand why this moment feels different, you have to step back and look at the context. Caitlin Clark entered the league surrounded by unprecedented attention. Her transition from college to the pros wasn't just about basketball. It was about expectations, pressure, and visibility. Every pass, every shot, every turnover has been analyzed in real time. Reports suggest that her presence alone has shifted TV ratings, attendance numbers, and even how opposing teams prepare defensively. At the same time, Paige Bueckers has been on her own journey, one shaped by elite skill, setbacks, and resilience. After dealing with injuries during her college career, her return to high-level basketball has been closely watched. According to recent discussions, many analysts believe Bueckers represents a different kind of offensive control, less about volume scoring and more about efficiency, pace, and decision-making. So when conversations start framing this as Bueckers versus Clark, it's important to clarify something. This isn't a direct, head-to-head rivalry in the traditional sense. It's more of a comparison between two styles, two impacts, and two evolving careers that happen to be peaking in attention at the same time. Now, let's get into the actual basketball. Caitlin Clark's game is built on range, vision, and tempo. She stretches defenses the moment she crosses half-court. That alone changes how opponents structure their coverage. Teams often pick her up earlier than usual, sometimes even before she's fully set in the offense. That kind of defensive attention isn't just respect, it's strategy. But here's where the analysis gets more interesting. Clark's influence isn't limited to scoring. Her passing, especially in transition and off-high pick-and-roll actions, creates opportunities that don't always show up in basic stats. According to analysts, her ability to manipulate defensive spacing is one of her most underrated strengths. However, it hasn't all been smooth. Reports suggest she's faced physical defensive schemes, adjustments to the pace of the professional game, and the challenge of integrating into a new system. These are normal for any rookie, but because of the spotlight around her, every adjustment period feels amplified. Now shift over to Paige Bueckers. Bueckers brings a different rhythm. Where Clark often pushes pace and creates chaos, Bueckers thrives in control. Her footwork, shot selection, and timing allow her to operate efficiently within structured offenses. Fans are reacting to her ability to score without forcing the issue, something that stands out in a league where defensive discipline is extremely high. One of the key differences that analysts point out is how Bueckers reads defensive rotations. She doesn't just react, she anticipates. That allows her to make quick decisions that keep the offense flowing. It's not always flashy, but it's consistently effective. And that's where this steal the show narrative starts to make sense. It's not about who's better. It's about how both players, in their own ways, are drawing attention back to skill, IQ, and the evolution of guard play in the game. According to recent discussions, some analysts believe Clark's impact is more immediate and visible: deep threes, high assist games, highlight plays. Others argue that Bueckers' style might translate into long-term consistency because of how controlled and efficient her approach is. Both perspectives have merit. And then, there's the team context, something that often gets overlooked in these conversations. Clark's role has required her to carry a significant offensive load early in her career. That naturally leads to higher usage, which can also bring inconsistency as she adjusts. On the other hand, Bueckers has often operated in systems that emphasize balance and spacing, allowing her to pick her moments more selectively. That difference matters, because when fans compare performances, they're sometimes comparing two completely different responsibilities on the court. Now let's talk about the tempo versus Lynx angle, because this isn't just about individual players, it's about how teams are evolving around them. Tempo-based offenses, fast-paced, transition-heavy, spacing-oriented, are becoming more common. Clark fits naturally into that environment. Her ability to make quick reads and deliver long-range shots aligns perfectly with modern offensive trends. The Lynx, historically known for structure and discipline, represent a different philosophy. Their approach often emphasizes half-court execution, defensive rotations, and controlled possessions. Players like Bueckers, who excel in decision-making and efficiency, tend to thrive in that kind of system. So when these styles collide, or even when they're just discussed side by side, it creates a broader conversation about where the game is heading. Fans are reacting strongly to this contrast. Some are drawn to the excitement and unpredictability of Clark's style. The deep shots, the no-look passes, the moments that feel almost improvisational. Others appreciate the precision and calm that Bueckers brings, the sense that every move has a purpose. Social media discussions suggest that this isn't a divided fanbase, it's an engaged one. People aren't just choosing sides. They're analyzing, debating, and appreciating different aspects of the game. And that's a good sign for the sport overall. Now, let's move into the rookie watch list conversation, because that adds another layer to everything. Clark isn't the only rookie drawing attention. Around the league, there are multiple young players making early impressions. According to reports, teams are seeing an influx of talent that's more prepared than ever for the professional level. This changes the dynamic. Instead of focusing on a single standout, the conversation expands. Clark becomes part of a broader narrative about a new generation of players who are reshaping expectations. And that can actually reduce pressure in a way. Because while Clark remains a central figure, she's no longer the only storyline. At the same time, comparisons to players like Bueckers, who represent a slightly different timeline and development path, add depth to the discussion. It's not just about rookies versus veterans. It's about how different stages of development intersect in real time. Now let's break down some of the implications. First, visibility. Reports suggest that games featuring high-profile players like Clark are drawing increased attention, both in arenas and on broadcasts. That kind of visibility benefits everyone, teammates, opponents, and the league as a whole. Second, defensive evolution. Teams are adjusting. They're experimenting with new ways to defend high-usage guards. That includes earlier pickups, more switching, and sometimes even unconventional coverage schemes. Clark is at the center of that shift, but players like Bueckers will inevitably be part of it as well. Third, expectations. This might be the most important factor. Clark entered the league with expectations that are almost impossible to meet consistently. Every performance is measured against a standard that was set before she even played a professional game. Bueckers, while also highly regarded, has experienced a different kind of build-up, one shaped by resilience and return rather than immediate dominance. That difference affects how their performances are perceived. A strong game from Clark might be seen as expected. A strong game from Bueckers might be seen as confirmation of her efficiency and growth. Neither interpretation is entirely fair, but both are part of the narrative. Now let's bring in the fan perspective again. Fans are reacting not just to performances, but to how those performances are framed. Some feel that Clark is under constant scrutiny. Others believe the attention is justified given her impact. Some argue that Bueckers doesn't always get the same level of spotlight. Others say that her style naturally leads to a quieter kind of recognition. According to recent discussions, this isn't creating conflict, it's creating conversation. And that conversation is driving engagement. Which brings us back to the original idea, stealing the show. They're both doing it, but in completely different ways. Clark does it through visibility, pace, and moments that feel larger than the game itself. Bueckers does it through control, efficiency, and a level of consistency that builds over time. Neither approach is better. They're just different. And together, they're expanding what fans expect from elite guard play. As the season continues, this dynamic will keep evolving. Clark will continue adjusting to defensive pressure, refining her shot selection, and finding balance within her team's system. Bueckers will continue building on her efficiency, proving that her style translates at every level and quietly impacting games in ways that don't always dominate headlines. And the rookie watch list will keep shifting, reminding everyone that the future of the game isn't tied to one player, it's a collective movement. So here's the real question moving forward. Are we witnessing the beginning of a defining era shaped by contrasting styles, where players, like Clark and Bueckers, don't compete for the spotlight, but instead redefine it together? Because if that's the case, then this isn't just a moment. It's a transition. And fans are right in the middle of it.